Shaw here, founder of Wall Street Mastermind. I'm back today with another client interview for you guys. And today I'm really excited to have Leo on with us. And, he just finished going through the summer 2023 recruiting process and was able to get a very successful outcome with the Bulge bracket offer. And I wanted to just get him on here to talk to you guys about just kind of his whole journey and how he was able to do that, and hopefully just shed some insight that you guys can use yourself as you're going through the process. So Leo, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today, man.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So to start off, I guess what would be most helpful is if you can maybe introduce yourself to everyone and just kind of let people know who you are.
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Leo. I'm currently studying economics and computer science at UC Berkeley, and then I'm born and raised in San Francisco, California.
Awesome. And so, let's go back to the beginning, because you joined Wall Street Mastermind, I think, in like June of last year. Back then, I guess that was at the end of your sophomore year of college, right?
Yeah, my story is a little bit different because this time last year I was actually in community college. So yeah, as soon as I got into Berkeley, I just knew that my chances of getting into an investment bank accelerated substantially.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to prepare myself to the best extent possible in order to do so.
Yeah, got it. So basically when you joined in June, that was like you have finished your community college and you were about to transfer to Berkeley. It was like the summer before Berkeley, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I had no idea initially on how to even prep for investment banking. I just kind of assumed that it would be like any other interview, but I was greatly mistaken once I joined the course. And then actually I ran across, I think, one of your ads on Instagram, right? And then I don't know if my phone was listening in on me or something like that, but it was the perfect ad for that moment.
Yeah. Facebook is definitely snooping on you. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah.
So I guess, coming out of community college, so you already knew you wanted to do investment banking, because I don't feel like a lot of community college students even know what investment banking is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was a little bit different for me because so my stepfather, he worked at Prudential a long time ago when they still had investment bank. And he works in finance currently. He told me just what that experience meant to him and how it helped prepare him for a career in finance in general and learn a lot more about business. So I naturally kind of took that into great consideration, and that's what kind of led me on that course.
Got it. Okay. So I think I guess my question is I don't know if you did anything to prep for investment banking recruiting prior to joining Wall Street Mastermind, or maybe the answer is I didn't do anything at all. But did you do anything prior? And then also what made you want to join something like Wall Street Mastermind?
So yeah, prior to joining Wall Street Mastermind, I didn't do anything, right? All I knew about investment banking, to be honest, was the fact that it was incredibly competitive to get in, right? And I kind of just assumed in very early stages that all that was required was to get really good grades in college, and that was it. And I was very, very off with that one. And remind me what your second question was again?
Did you do anything prior to joining Wall Street Mastermind? And then why did you decide to join something like Wall Street Mastermind, I guess?
Yeah, okay. So I think the real the reason at the end of the day why I decided to join was because I wanted to get into a program that I knew was very dedicated and had a great, strong network of individuals who also went through the program and got successful offers. I think I think that at the end of the day, though, what it really was for me was a commitment device that kept me on track, that kept me really like pushing towards the end goal at the end of the day. Because
Mm,
first of all, I mean, there's a lot of information out there, right? And you can't really tell like what's right and what's wrong.
yeah.
Second, um, whenever you have a question, no matter how obscure it is, there's always going to be someone on the network that knows the answer to it and can really explain it very simply.
Mm,
Um, I think that's pretty much it.
yeah. Okay. Um, and I guess like when you were considering, I mean, like you see this ad on Instagram, and then I guess like you probably eventually booked a call to talk with us. As you were like going through that process and making the decision on like whether you want to join us or not, I mean, like, what was your kind of decision making process? And like, I mean, were you skeptical at all, or worried that this might not work for you, or like, kind of walk us through that thought process, I guess.
I think whenever you see an ad on Instagram or Facebook that says that they'll do whatever you can to get you into investment banking, it's always there's always a little bit of skepticism, right?
Yeah,
I think a lot of people, especially when they try to like pursue a career in finance, or especially when dealing with like the stock market and learning how to trade, etc. There's like a million plus courses of people that don't know what the hell they're talking about and that just charge an absurd amount of money because they made a few good trades and they think they're experts.
right.
But back to your point, what I was trying to say is that um, there was definitely a lot of skepticism in the beginning, especially considering the fact that I mean on Wall Street Oasis, these type of platforms, the reviews weren't the best, right? But I think two of the things that told me that this program was credible was one, the amount of experience that you have personally. I mean, come on, you worked at Morgan Stanley. You've been through the whole process on probably on both sides as well. So I mean, you're definitely the person to talk to in order to get that good quality insight.
Yeah.
Um, and then as well, just the conversation that I had with the guy that I first booked a call with was really insightful, and it made me realize just how much they knew, how much you guys knew, and how much I didn't know about recruiting for investment banking.
Mm, got it. Yeah, you're talking about like that initial call they booked it with us just to learn more about the program and see if it was like something that was a good fit for you, basically. So
Yeah,
basically, you were somewhat skeptical, but you figured, hey, I'm gonna explore this a little bit and see what it's about. And if it checks out, great. If it doesn't, then I just won't do it, essentially.
yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, I knew that like I would have a lot of experience, or I would know a lot more about how to network, because I mean, network is incredibly important at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
I would learn much more about how to interview.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
it appealed to me.
Okay. All right. So you spoke to our team, and that kind of, I guess, that kind of convinced you that this was a legitimate thing, and you decided to believe us over all the things that you were reading online. So then you came into the program, and what were some of the things that you did after you joined the program? And like, was it similar to what you expected coming in? Was it different? Like, what did you find to be, the most helpful? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Listen, honestly, um, all the videos are very educational, right? There's a million and one resources, all of them very insightful. At the end of the day, the thing that was had the biggest impact to my success was the network, right? So I the second that I joined the program and someone realized that I went to Berkeley, I connected with an individual who got into an elite boutique, who's currently studying at Haas at the moment, Berkeley's business school. Um, and he just like served as a guide into what the heck exactly I should be doing and what I'm doing wrong. And kind of served even more to like that motivation at the end of the day to kind of get that, to secure an offer. Yeah, so he was incredibly helpful, and it was I never would have had that connection if it wasn't for this program.
Yeah. Who are you talking about, by the way? I'm so curious.
Hudson.
Ah, got it. Yeah, Hudson's really helpful. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so like, yeah, I mean, the network aspect, I think is huge, and I think most people on the outside looking in, I don't think that's really something you think about before you join the program, right? Like, I think you join the program thinking that this is just something that you come in, you get coached by Sam, and then like Sam's the only person that's going to help you, and then like then you're going to get a job. But in reality, I think like once you're in, you realize like, yes, Sam is going to help you, but like in reality, all of our clients and all of our alumni and upperclassmen and people who have already gone through the process, like there are hundreds of these people, and everybody's kind of just like helping each other out, right?
Yeah. One other thing as well that I'll add to the mix that was incredibly helpful was the database of interview questions that comes with the program, right? I mean, there's like 500 plus individuals in the program currently, so or have graduated and found offers already, but I mean, the questions that are in the database are real questions that the banks are 100% going to ask you, right?
Yeah.
Elite boutiques are definitely going to focus more on the technical side. Bulge brackets might be a little bit more behavioral.
Yeah.
So it just helps you prepare and helps you target a specific super day as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about, yeah. So what you're talking about is like how a lot of our clients, after they go through an interview, they'll actually come back and contribute all the questions that they got into a centralized database so that people in the future who have the same interviews can then go in and look at it and see what to expect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's like the perfect example of how like people are so collaborative and sharing intel and helping each other out. And it's not this like cutthroat environment where everybody's just like only looking out for themselves, right? Actually,
Yeah.
that's like my favorite. I have to say that's my favorite part about this community, which is just seeing how collaborative people are. Even though it's a very cutthroat process, and very competitive, and there are only so many jobs, but like people around here at least don't really have like that scarcity mindset of like, oh, if you get a job, then I'm not going to get a job, or vice versa. Like everyone's kind of winning together, right?
Which is definitely a big change from Wall Street Oasis. Everybody's just like incredibly toxic. You know, if you don't get into like one of the top 3 bulge brackets, then you're a failure in life.
Right. GS, TMT, or
yeah, exactly.
Right. But yeah, and I think that also like with these questions too that people are contributing to the database, I think one thing I'll say is that our clients tell us all the time when they go into these interviews, they're not getting asked like the questions that are in like the 400 questions guide anymore. Like I have clients that have literally straight up been told by bankers that are like, yeah, we're not going to ask, like, we don't care if you memorize the guides. Like, we're not going to ask you questions from the guides because they know that everyone's already doing that. Right.
100%.
And then, so like being able to, if that's all you're doing, then, like the vast majority of people who are doing that, like you're probably not going to get a very good outcome versus these are like real questions that are actually being asked. And sometimes when I see these questions that are added to the database, I'm just like, man, the interviews have gotten a lot harder. like they're like really asking some tough questions now, especially at the elite boutiques, right? And so it's just being able to hear these questions ahead of time, I think it's huge. Sometimes I'm like, man, if I'm put on the spot and I'm teaching this stuff, if I'm put on the spot and having to answer some of these questions, especially like the hardest ones, I'm like, I might not be able to get this right, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I was doing some of the questions in the database with my stepfather, and he's worked in finance for a long time. And even he said like, there's no way they're gonna ask you a question like this. Like that's ridiculous. But sure enough, they will definitely ask those type of questions.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So okay. I think the other thing too that I'm sure some of our listeners would be curious about too is like, I mean, coming from a community college, usually by the time you transfer, like it's so late in the recruiting process already because you're transferring in as a third year, right?
Yeah.
And also like, I mean, take us back to like when you first transferred and like when you first started working with us, like usually, I don't remember exactly what was on your resume anymore, but usually for community college students, it's hard to have that much stuff on your resume coming in because like most community college students don't have like a bunch of internships or whatever. Like firms don't really hire that much from community college, right? So like, how did you? I mean, I feel like that's a double whammy. Like the fact that hey, one, you're already behind because the summer internship recruiting process is so early, but then two, you also need time to like beef up your resume, so to speak, right? So like, how did you like kind of overcome that or navigate through that process?
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. My resume a year ago is nothing compared to what it is today, right? I mean, I didn't look I looked terrible on paper. Yeah, everything. So everything that I learned when it comes to what exactly to put on your resume, how to format it, what kind of experience these investment banks are looking for, I learned through the program, right? I even learned I even found two very applicable internships in these very small private equity funds uh, through Wall Street Mastermind as well. And uh, like in all the interviews that I've ever done with investment banks, they've always asked me about those experiences, right? Because they were incredibly applicable.
Mm, yeah. So basically, you like spend time building up your resume with our help, and I mean, you had to do the work, but we showed you like how to go and get these experiences, but then you went out and got them, and then you did them, and then you just built your resume up over time, and that allows you to. I mean, that's almost like nowadays. That's almost like a prerequisite to being able to recruit successfully. Like if you don't have, to your point, applicable experiences on your resume, it's almost like nobody really even wants to talk to you, right?
Yeah, as well, I would say that considering the fact that my resume was just as bad as it was a year ago,
Yeah.
and you're really competing with a lot of individuals who knew they wanted to get into investment banking since the minute they got into college.
Yeah.
Having such a late start, you got to think to yourself, like, how bad do you want this? So no matter how late that you start, you gotta be the hardest working individual, right? Because of just how many people there are that have just gotten early starts. They know the heads of investment banking at JP Morgan or whatever, right? So just being incredibly dedicated to kind of like achieving that goal at the end of the day is what really set me apart and helped me to gain that offer.
Yeah. And on that note, in terms of like, you talk about like people knowing bankers and this and that, like, um, how was the networking process like for you? Like, did you, I mean, your dad used to work in finance. I don't know, like, was he able to help you with that? Or like, how was that? How, like, was he able to introduce you to people or like, how did you kind of navigate through that entire process?
Yeah, he was fortunately able to introduce me to a lot of people just because of what he does. But I think the number one resource that I really took advantage of the most was the school's network. I'm blessed to go to a school with a lot of people in investment banking at the moment, and that really helped me. But on top of that, I also joined Sponsors for Educational Opportunity, which is a great network of individuals who are also in investment banking. And it really helped me to leverage some similarities when reaching out to some of these individuals,
Yeah.
which ultimately at the end of the day helped me secure an offer.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important to network. You're not going to get an interview if you don't talk to someone.
Right. Yeah, we've had a handful of students now that have gone through both SEO and Wall Street Mastermind simultaneously. And it seems to be a pretty good combination because SEO has a lot of these partnerships or whatever with like on the corporate side. And then like they can, connect you with firms, like at a minimum get you like some interviews, right? I think isn't it like basically guaranteed that they'll at least get you one or two interviews, and then like at that point, as long as you can get the interview, you just need to crush the interview, right? And if you can crush the interview, then you're pretty much set, right?
Yeah, even at that level though, I mean, you still have to put in the work with them, right? In order to prove to them that you're actually capable of handling yourself in these interviews,
Sure.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want
But
to. They're not going to put you in front of their corporate clients if you're not going to show well, basically.
yeah, what did help me to prep for those mock interviews with them though was Wall Street Mastermind.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess on that note, like, what would you like for the people that haven't used Wall Street Mastermind, and so they don't really know what it's like? Um, how would you describe like the interview prep process that you went through, or like what's so different about it than like what you could have just done on your own? Like because that's the question that we always get from people is like, I mean, okay, like I'm gonna learn. I know I need to learn technicals, but like it's all the same concepts, right? Like all this stuff you can probably go and find on the internet, right? Like, so can I just go online and watch some YouTube videos? I don't know. Like, what would you say to that, right? Or is there even a difference?
Listen, first of all, it's going to save you an incredible amount of time, right? Especially like when you have to work your butt off in order to like separate yourself from the pack. The time savings alone is going to be amazing, right? I mean, Wall Street Mastermind, you know exactly what to look into. You know exactly what they're going to be asking you, and you know exactly how to study for it. Second of all, the network, as I keep referencing, I mean, it's incredibly important to have such a dedicated group of individuals who are also going into have gone into a similar process and are currently going through that process at the moment. So it's very there's a lot of camaraderie there. And then as well, I would say the difference is just how easy you and the people in the network, how simple you guys actually explain some of these more advanced concepts, right? Like let's say LBO modeling in particular, which for some people might be very difficult. But even myself, like I've been working at this small private equity firm for a little while through my semester, and I learned probably a lot of the different nuances of an LBO model through the modules as opposed to actually doing it and writing them out, right? Yeah, so that definitely helped substantially.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think those are all great points. Obviously, like having a support system, having people who are always constantly able to help you and answer your questions anytime you need, being able to do everything more efficiently because you're already like so busy when you're recruiting. There's like never enough time to do all the things you need to do. And then like I think the most important thing is just like, I mean, yeah, you can learn this stuff from wherever you want, but ultimately, like the best thing that can happen is if you have someone that can explain these concepts to you in a way that even a 5-year-old could understand it. Like that's always our goal, right? Like we want, we assume everyone that's coming to our program has zero foundation whatsoever when it comes to the technicals. Like we assume we're teaching everybody from scratch, and like that's how much we try to dumb everything down. And I think that's really like worked well because sometimes a lot of students that come in, they literally are starting from scratch, right? And some people come in, they already, have some knowledge, but still like we're solving for like the lowest common denominator, which I think has worked really, really well because then we're trying to get you guys to the level where you can explain these things to your brother who's in 6th grade and like we always tell our clients, like if you can get to that level where you can do that, then that's how we know you're ready,
Yeah,
right?
100% agree.
Yeah.
One thing as well that I forgot to mention is the fact that that you actually review my resume and my behavioral questions and give me feedback in order so I can actually better those objects or those elements or those parts for the interviews to come,
Yeah.
right? I mean, oh my god, like you don't want to like be writing your resume and have to learn like every single little trick in the book in order to make like this perfect resume. That alone will take an incredible amount of time, right? So to have someone that like knows exactly what investment banks are looking for and help you through that process is really helpful. You don't know how many people have told me like I have one of the nicest resumes they've ever seen for someone my age.
Yeah, I do think actually a lot of our clients get feedback like that because just to be completely honest, um, most college students are really bad at formatting their resumes.
Yeah,
So it's like it's not like we're doing some like amazing thing, but I think like when you learn how to do it the right way, it's just a night and day difference from like what most of your competition is doing. Just like
yeah, exactly.
sounds crazy, but like they don't teach this stuff in school, you know?
Yeah,
So
they'll throw out your resume right away if it's not formatted correctly.
yeah, for sure. Um, awesome, man. So I mean, I guess after going through this entire process, I guess we'll cut the suspense, but like what what is your what was the like successful outcome that you got in the end? Like what offers did you get?
So I got the offer that I actually took very early, but I got multiple super days to both middle markets and some bulge brackets, namely UBS and Goldman Sachs, and I ended up taking an offer from UBS.
Okay. That's awesome. Um, so like what did your dad say about that?
He was really ecstatic about it. You know, he himself, he's also in banking, so
Yeah.
now we have two hopefully two bankers in the family.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I mean that's a huge accomplishment, man, especially like coming from where you came from and starting late and having nothing on your resume when you started to, you know, less than a year later having a bulge bracket offer, which a lot of people would, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people would give a lot to have an offer like that. I think that's just amazing. So it's definitely something that you should be super proud of. But I guess my last question for you is, now that you're on the other side and you've gone through this process successfully, um, do you have like a piece of advice that you want to pass down to younger folks who are maybe just going through the process now or thinking about going through the process? Anything that's, I don't know, that people told you that just really helped you tremendously along the way that you want to share with other people?
Yeah, absolutely. A recurring theme that I got through all the conversations that I had with bankers, and one that I kind of picked up along the way is, you know, you can have like an incredible amount of experiences, and you can have like a 4.0 and go to Harvard or something along that like, and you might not even get the interview because you're not connected to the people, right? So having just making as many calls as you can, talking to as many people as you can to secure just an interview is incredibly important. It'll define it's the difference between getting an offer and not getting an offer, right? At the end of the day.
Right.
So it's just incredibly important to start early. And you know, once you do get someone that can pass your resume along to HR, proving yourself and proving that they made the right decision in order to do that.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like I mean, without that, like you really just, it's just so hard to get an interview nowadays. I read an article the other day that I don't know, Goldman Sachs had like 230 something thousand applicants in this
Yeah.
cycle, and 79,000 of those were in North America. And just like you're talking about the sheer volume of resumes that they're getting, and the fact that their offer rate is like 1.5% or something, is like you have to have someone on the inside pushing for you, right? It's just absolutely necessary. So
100%.
yeah, I think that's great advice. Cool. So I mean, look, guys, for those of you that are still listening to this, if you're just starting to go through the recruiting process, maybe you're a transfer student like Leo is, or maybe you're feeling a little bit late to the process, maybe you don't have much on your resume at all, I don't know, whatever, like you probably have all these reasons that have you thinking like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Don't give up, and like, in fact, I would encourage you to reach out to our team and schedule a call and tell us about your situation. Tell us like what your goals are, what kind of banks are you trying to get to, what are the challenges that you're currently facing that you feel like are preventing you from getting there. And we'll either based on whatever you tell us, we'll either say, hey, yeah, like those are absolutely things we can help you with, in which case, like, we can walk you through what it would look like for you to work with us, because it is by application only and we can't work with everyone. Or even if we don't feel like we're the best fit to help you, at a minimum, we'll give you some advice on these calls in terms of like what we think we would do if we were in your shoes, right? Like either way, you walk away from this call with something actionable that you can either go implement on your own or with our help, right? And so if that's something that sounds interesting to you, then you can book this call by going to www.wallstreetmastermind.com/apply. The street's abbreviated to ST, so it's wallstmastermind.com/apply. And we look forward to learning more about you and potentially helping you with this very, very grueling process. All right. So with that said, Leo, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us about your own journey and how you were able to get to where you are today. And I think you shared a lot of really useful insights that I know will be helpful for our listeners. So thank you for doing that. And huge congrats again on your summer internship offer. And can't wait to see what you're able to accomplish over the summer, as well as for full-time and beyond, really. But if there's anything else we can ever do for you, like, you know how to find us. Don't be a stranger.
Awesome.
Looking
forward to it.
Yep. So guys, that will be it for today. And thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back with more of these for you guys in the near future. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Hey, if you like this video, click the like button and hit subscribe to get more content like this.